Welcome to Money and Media, presented by FinCon. My name is Andy Hill, and today we're going to be talking about small business management in a financial crisis, and that is where we are right now, my friends. I'm happy to be joined today by author, business consultant, speaker, and entrepreneur Tom Sylvester. He and his wife Ariana recently wrote a book called Lifestyle Builders, which is all about how to build and manage a business you love. We're going to learn from Tom about what we can do to keep our small businesses thriving during this pandemic season. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Hey, excited to be here, Andy.
Absolutely. So, Tom, there's a lot of small business owners in our FinCon community, and they're probably experiencing quite a bit of problems right now. What problems are you seeing within the small business community that you're involved in?
Yeah, there's a couple main ones that come up. For some, it's literally the inability to do business. If you have a retail store, something that you do in a physical location, you might not even be able to go and conduct business in this time. For others, it's losing customers. So even if you can conduct business, when times are uncertain, people tend to not spend, especially when we have financial uncertainty going on. And then really for most business owners, those first two things lead to a cash struggle. For businesses that have been able to be smart during the good times that preceded this and have cash available, it's less of an issue. But I've talked to a lot of business owners over the last couple of weeks that are like maybe 30 days from closing because they don't have cash available and new customers aren't coming in.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you got hindsight right now being like, well, it would have been great to have a lot more cash on hand. Like, what's an ideal amount of cash? Because nobody could really predict this. Like, what's an ideal amount of cash for somebody to have as a small business owner just on hand?
Yeah, it varies by business and depending on what your expenses are. Similar to personal finance, I always say you want at least 3 to 6 months. For businesses, typically I like to go longer if I can.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're a small business owner times 100. I know you got a lot of lines in the water as a serial entrepreneur. So how's your business being affected right now?
Yeah, so business number one is real estate investing. Right now, not a huge impact, but likely will be over the next couple of months as businesses go out, as tenants can't pay their bills. Wine and liquor store is actually booming, which I just got to pat myself on the back planning ahead. I actually was looking ahead and saying, I got into business during the 07, 08 real estate downturn. So I actually bought real estate. And a couple of years in, I'm like, all right, this is going to happen again. What business will be recession proof? And I looked at wine and liquor. So that is actually going really well, which is great. And then with our business coaching, it's going well, but we've had to pivot as a lot of businesses need to basically say, what are the challenges people are facing right now? And how do we take what we're doing in business and address those challenges?
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's talk about pivoting because I know a lot of businesses, like you said, they have the inability to do their business right now. So talk about the importance of pivoting and how people can maybe get some of those ideas going for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, pivoting is critical. When I talk to business owners, the conversation and what you were doing a month ago is very different than now. And you can tell when business owners aren't making that pivot because what they're talking about is not relevant to people right now. The challenges people faced a month ago and what they were spending money on and the problems they were solving is very different than today. So we got to think about, one, pivoting our offer. So you got to look at your audience, your customer base, and saying, what challenges are they facing now? And how do I take what I'm offering and adjust it to support them through that? There's a common thing saying, are you selling vitamins or are you selling painkillers? In good times, you can be selling vitamins, but when it comes down to it, what people need are painkillers, which is basically what's the immediate resolution or solution to my problem. And so first thing we want to look at is, hey, with your existing customer base, can you sell them something different to solve the problems they're facing now? In some cases, that may not work, and you may actually have to look at shifting your customer base. So your business might have gone out because your customers are out of business or are no longer buying. So what you then need to do is say, all right, what challenges exist out there? Because we as entrepreneurs and business owners, what we do is solve problems. So this is actually a really good opportunity to say what challenges are out there because there's more than ever, and how can I take my expertise and my business experience and apply that to help solve that problem for that new audience?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, let's talk specifically about folks in the FinCon community and their business models. So let's talk to the speaker right now that's saying, hey, I was making some good money on the road, traveling to these events and bringing in the cash. What way could they maybe pivot in this situation to keep the revenue coming in?
Yeah, a lot of it looks at how you were using speaking. So if you were getting paid to speak, what you now want to look at is shifting online, right? Because everything that was in person is shifting online. So there may be abilities to get paid to speak online at virtual summits or virtual events. If you were using speaking as a way to pull your audience in, you can take the same content that you were using for speaking and now apply it online. So now, what are people doing now? People are home. People have more time than they did before. So this is a really good opportunity for experts or people that want to be perceived as experts to create content and to guide people through this, because your audience, whoever it is that you're speaking to or helping, what they're looking for during these times is, one, certainty, and two, leadership. So this is actually a really good opportunity for speakers to be able to do things like this, share information on what they're an expert at, and help people guide through this. Because there's a short-term game here of let's make sure you stay in business and that you're taken care of, but there's also a long-term game. And this is the opportunity to where you can build your audience and you can create raving fans that even if they're not buying from you or investing with you now, they can later on.
I like that. Well, I mean, this is an opportunity to look at and say, what can I do to pivot and then grow my business from here? Because this is where, you don't want to cower, you don't want to hide in the corner right now. This is an opportunity for you to really shine. So let's talk on the expense side of things. We talk about the revenue side of things. Let's shore it up. Let's pivot. Let's move our business the right way. How about the expense side of things? What can we do to be saving money right now as a small business owner?
Yeah, first thing you got to do is just take a look and understand your expenses. Unfortunately, a lot of small business owners are afraid of the financial sheets, don't look at their finances enough. And so whether or not this is you, this is a great opportunity to take out the checking account, take out the credit card, and just go through line by line. And what you're looking for is we really want to be extending our runway. And what that means is we want to make sure that the cash we have available and the potential cash that is coming in allows us to stay in business as long as possible. So you want to be cutting most expenses that are not essential for right now. And for a lot of people, this could be subscriptions. This can be technology that you maybe bought a year ago and you were going to use someday and you haven't. In some cases, depending on your business, this might involve letting staff go or, reducing them from full-time to part-time. And in addition to cutting expenses, before we go there, what you don't want to do during this time is to cut everything. Because I've seen a lot of business owners that are just like, all right, I'm going to cut across the board and keep all my cash, which might be good short term, but you're going to decimate your business long term. So you want to cut the non-essentials, but the expenses you want to keep are anything that's directly allowing you to make a return on your investment, basically allow you to run your business today. And you want to be thinking about anything that's going to allow you to come out of this and thrive, right? So anything that's helping you with strategy, anything that's helping you with your positioning in the marketplace or expanding your audience, you want to make sure you're keeping those expenses in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do have the financial reserves, like you're saying, and you do feel comfortable, this might be an opportunity for you to jump on additional, investments like advertising opportunities, things like that right now. Is that true?
That's a huge opportunity. And this is where, what you see is during these times, a lot of businesses drop out because they weren't planning ahead or they weren't in a good situation. And what you see on the other side is a lot of businesses actually thrive. If you look, I'm a history nerd. If you look back during challenging times in history, whether it's the Great Depression or any of the recessions we've had over the last couple of decades, you're going to see that new businesses were started out of there. And this is actually a time for people that are innovative and people that are solving problems to really do well in business. So to your point, if you have the means it's actually cheaper, and it's going to continue to be cheaper to advertise. It's going to be easier to get people's attention. So this is a great opportunity to say, once I'm taking care of short term and I'm surviving, now I want to shift and say, what can I do to thrive and make sure that my business is set up so that as we come out of this, I'm in a good position from customers coming in, as well as my internal operations, and what systems and team members do I need? Because that's the other part coming out of here. Unfortunately, a lot of people are laid off. Yeah. What this means is, for your business, there's a whole new pool of talent that you might not have had access to, so you can really build your team as we come out of this.
That's great. Well, let's talk about, you talked about your business maybe not being hit too hard right now at all. You're taking advantage of it and growing your business. What are you doing right now to make yourself feel secure as a business owner, but then also doubling down and growing your business?
Yeah, I mean, first things first, taking care of myself and my family. So during these times, there's information overload. Some people have anxiety. There's a lot of stuff going on. So the first thing is you got to take care of yourself, right? Oftentimes this means limiting the information that comes in and making sure you're getting the right information. And then what we're doing outside of this is a couple things. One, we're being proactive. So directly outreaching to all of our clients, current and past. First off, just to check in and say, how are you doing? Are you safe? What this then allows us to do is to, one, make sure they're good, and then two, see how we can help them. You know, I've been on the phone with over 100 business owners the last couple of weeks, and a lot of it is just helping them to navigate through this and figure out how they can not just survive, but thrive. And what that does for me personally is knowing that I'm making an impact. You know, because I've seen a lot of people during this time say, well, I'm afraid to offer something because I don't want to seem like I'm taking advantage of the situation. And what I ask people is, you know, do you have a solution that can help somebody with a challenge they're facing right now? If the answer is yes, the best thing you can do is offer them help and offer them support.
Yeah, that's exactly why you have the business in the first place, right? Absolutely. So, you know, like we were talking about at the beginning of the conversation, hindsight is definitely 2020, but we know another one of these crazy messes is going to come around again. So for small business owners who are going to thrive and get through this, what are steps that we can take to make ourselves recession-proof the next time this comes around?
Yeah, well, the first thing we can do is take advantage of what's going on right now. You know, like I said earlier, I actually started my first business when we were going through the real estate bubble and everything dropping. And I actually got into real estate because with everything dropping down, I knew it would go back up. Right. So as they say, things were on sale. So I bought when everyone else was, you know, either going into bankruptcy or selling. So one, take advantage and understand what's going on now and see where there's opportunities for you to thrive. Second thing is take note. You know, I have a really good friend that says, you know, if you lose, don't lose the lesson. And so thinking about where you're at now, what did you do well that has helped you set you up really for a good spot right now? And what could you have done better, right? Because learning from where you're at right now is going to allow you to then take those lessons into the future. And for most people, it means, hey, actually make sure that you're understanding your finances and that you're hitting the right profitability and you're putting cash away. And second, there's a really good book, Who Moved My Cheese? It basically, it's just a short, funny little tale, but it basically says, hey, when things are good, smell the cheese. Basically, check around and see where things are shifting, and then realize that when things do change, you've got to change as well. So you want to prepare for it by having cash, you know, all of the things we always talk about. But then you want to realize that when things have changed, you need to change with it, because there's still, unfortunately, some people that are like, hey, this is going to be over in 2 weeks. And they're just thinking, I don't have to change anything. It'll go back to normal. I'm here to tell you guys, this is a new normal. And regardless of the time frame, things are different. So the best thing we can do is learn from what's going on right now and apply those lessons going forward.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Tom. Well, speaking of great books, I would love to hear more about where people can find lifestyle builders and then where people can connect with you.
Absolutely. So we have everything that we've got going on, including the book and our podcast, at tomandariana.com.
Excellent. Excellent. Tom, thank you so much for setting aside some time this morning. I know you and I are both busy with 2 crazy kids at home as well as our small businesses to run. So this means a lot. Thank you very much for doing this.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Andy.